Hi there, it's Louise here of Timeless Craft Mama, and today I'm sharing a scrapbook layout process video with you for Scrapbook Boutique, and this is my layout called Funny Face. What I've done is I've taken a sketch from the wonderful Sketch Savvy blogspot, and I'm going to turn that into a layout for you today using the brand new collection from Coco Vanilla Studio called Totally Rad. And I just have to say, yay for great boy papers. There are so many beautiful feminine papers out there, and while I love feminine papers, I love a good boys collection. So I am going to create a couple of layouts with this collection. First thing I'm going to do is show you through some of the papers and some of the little embellishments. I've picked out my photos that I'm going to use, and I've also printed out this sketch. Now, normally I wouldn't print a sketch, but because I'm doing a process video, I really wanted to have the sketch there for me to reference so that I could create on the go and not have to keep referring back to the computer all the time. So this particular sketch is for an 8.5 by 11 page, and I really wanted to be true to the sketch. I really wanted to try my hand at an 8.5 by 11 sketch, because normally I wouldn't do one of those. But because I wanted to be able to stick this in an album that was 12 by 12, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create it as the 8.5 by 11 sketch, and then I'm just going to mount it on white cardstock at the end. So as I go through and create this, you'll see that it is the true, well, not true, but it's pretty close to 8.5 by 11, so that I can use the sketch and show you how it inspired me, but still fit it in a 12 by 12 album. So I've picked out some of the papers that I want to use and my photo, so I'm just mounting that on black to help that pop out from the page a little bit. The strip that I'm sticking down now is 2 inches wide, and this square is 7 by 7. Now, there was no measurements given with the sketch, so I've pretty much just picked what I thought it was and what I wanted to use, and that's what I'm going to pop on the page. Once I've stuck all that down, I've applied some clear gesso and I've let that dry. I'm going to cut out a couple of these little parts of the paper to use on this particular page. Now, when I'm putting together this layout, I'm not strict as far as sketches are concerned. I think for me, if I look at a sketch and a layout next to it and I can see generally how it's either been mimicked or flipped or rotated or however you want it to look, then I'm happy enough for things that aren't circles to be, squares or whatever. So personally, I don't exactly follow a sketch. I just use the basic bare bones of it to be able to go ahead and build a layout. So what I've done here is I've taken the distressed crayon in Twisted Citron, and I'm going ahead and using the packaging technique to just apply some of this colour around the page. So, the packaging technique is so versatile. You can use it for whatever you'd like. You could use it with spray mist, you can use it with gelatos, you can use it with watercolours. In this case, I've done it with the distressed crayon. So it really does give you so much versatility to be able to completely add colour to a page. And I find the colour is so subtle, it's not too bright, it just gives that little bit of touch of work in the background and, adds to the layout without detracting. So, moving back to the sketch, what I'm doing is working now on the bottom left-hand cluster. So I've had a look at the sticker sheet and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I want to use some of these stickers, and they didn't sort of fit completely just on their own. So again, I'm just going to add a little bit of colour and a circle that I've cut out, and then I'm going to build that cluster accordingly. So you can kind of see how I've been inspired by that sketch, but I haven't copied it exactly. I've used a bit of my own feelings about clusters and how I want a layout to look. So you don't have to necessarily copy the sketch exactly. You don't have to copy my layout exactly, but I hope that by watching this video you can take something and be inspired to play along either with the sketch or with some of these new products from Coco Vanilla, because Honestly, they are awesome. If you've got boys in your life, you will love this range. So I've gone ahead and I've stuck that sticker down, and then I'm looking at it and going, yeah, I'm not happy with that. So I'm going to actually lift that sticker off, and I'm going to pop a couple more elements around it, starting with raising it up a little bit because it was just blending in too much for my liking. So I'm just going to pop some cardboard behind the sticker, and I'm also going to use some green cotton. Now, what I find when I use cotton is that I always go for a shade darker, because when you pop it on the page, it actually loses a lot of its colour. So I've gone for a darker green, which I feel blends in quite well with this particular layout because it helps it to pop off of that page. So I'm looking at the elements that I've got in this particular layout, and I'm going to go ahead and add some of the wood veneer as well, just into that cluster, just to help sort of bring everything together and really start to make this layout shine. You'll also notice here that I'm adding some more cotton. Now, I love the way cotton looks on a page. For really what it is, it adds so much interest and so much texture. But I really have to tell you, I find it so annoying. It never seems to do what I want it to do. And quite often in this case, you'll see that I've actually stopped the layout, taken the cotton away because I was just not happy with it and I couldn't get it to do what I wanted it to do. So I pulled it off and gone away and said, right, I'll come back to that later on. So while I'm taking a little break from the uncooperative cotton, I'm going to use some of the elements that came with this particular collection and build that sort of circle of interest around the top of that photo. So there's some sequins, there's some buttons, there's some stars, there's some puffy stickers, there's a brad thrown in there as well. This all came as part of the kit. As it's elements of that Cocoa Vanilla Studio collection, which is really great because everything's coordinated. You don't have to think about it. You just have to pick some papers, and in this case I've picked a sketch. It's really a no-brainer. This layout was so quick and simple to put together, and especially for me, because sometimes I get a bit hung up on the details, whereas if I've got a sketch to work with, I really can put a layout together fairly quickly. And by using this collection, I've also had the opportunity to not really have to think about the papers that I'm using or the colours together. Straightforward, pick a photo, open up the kit, pick out some papers, do a bit of cutting, and put the page together. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the final stages of this layout, and that will be to stick some of this down and add my journaling as well. So probably the one thing I wasn't sure what I was going to do was how I was going to title this particular page. So I have waited until I'm happy, and you'll see that I've put that cotton on, and I've also attached one of the cutouts there as well, off camera. So I apologise for that, but sometimes you forget to turn the camera back on and continue on with a layout. So I've done the title with the stickers from the paper collection and from some other elements here. I'm going to go ahead and add my journaling. A little bit of doodling around that square as well, just I think helps it to pop off that page a little bit more. It was blending in just too much for me, so I've just doodled around the outside to make sure that it doesn't blend in too much. So I had to pause there. I apologise because I needed to go back and check the date on the photo to work out how old Master Z was. So I've finished the layout. I'm happy with how it looks. I'm going to go ahead now and just do the final touches, mount that onto that 12 by 12, and then I'm done. So, if you're a scrapper and you like 8.5 by 11, then, you can easily complete this page. If you're like me and you do everything in 12 by 12, then, you can adapt that sketch to suit whatever your needs are at the time. So you can see there, that's my finished layout as it appears in relation to the sketch. I really hope you enjoyed this page from me, and feel free to use that sketch, and don't forget to check out Scrapbook Boutique.